All right, we have something a little different today. I'm going to take a look at some of the highlights and lowlights of some of the press secretaries, the White House press secretaries we've had through the last few years. I want to say that right up front, I always call Karoline Leavitt the White House smoke show instead of the White House spokesperson, which is just a cheap, low, sexist joke, which I'll continue to make because that's just the kind of person I am. She's actually my favorite White House press secretary of my lifetime, which now stretches back even to before, I think, George Washington's press secretary. I can't remember his name, but Karoline Leavitt is absolutely great. And this will be brought to you by Helix mattresses, which I love because I stay awake. I never sleep, and they're just so comfortable to lie on, but you'll like them because you'll fall asleep on them. So go to helixsleep.com/Klavan. All right, let's take a look at the first press secretary.
Which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is.
I always feel after Karoline Leavitt talks that they should cut back to the reporter who's just like a charred piece of charcoal who then crumbles to dust. I think that would be and of course, AP is one of the worst leftist offenders there is. They're a complete lie factory, and they should be barred. And the fact that we're not allowed to bar them, it wasn't barring them from press conferences, it was barring them from the Oval Office and special events. But they should not just be barred, they should be barred and feathered. I think if that's a thing, I don't know if you can bar and feather somebody. If you can, the AP should be barred and feathered.
Pointing out the president has referred to some Mexican immigrants as he has tried to pass a Muslim ban in this country. He has described black NFL players as sons of if they take a knee during a football game.
That's an absurd attempt to justify the misleading headlines that are regularly on your network. Like I was just walking in, watching CNN as they lauded the quote rallies in the streets.
Are you saying that the president
gotta let me finish, Jim? This isn't a cable news segment. I'm answering your question right now from the White House podium. When I walk out of here, Jim, and I see on your network celebratory headlines about the rallies and the protests outside. And you actually said protests and rallies. So in light of a protest, if these gatherings happen in light of a protest or a rally, as you say, that rally is to be condoned, but not the president's rally. I mean, it's appalling. You have one person on your network saying that this is a celebration in the streets, a carnival-like atmosphere. There's a guy with a sign that says free hugs. It's beautiful what's happening in the streets. There is music. People are hugging. You celebrate hugging in the context of a protest. But in a Trump rally where we celebrate historic low African-American unemployment, criminal justice reform, HBCUs, that rally is not allowed because guess what, Jim? It doesn't fit the ideological agenda of CNN.
The problem with that is everything that was Kayleigh McEnany, everything she said was absolutely true. Jim Acosta, I forgot about it. I used to call him Jim, look at me, I'm Jim Acosta, because it was just about him. It had nothing to do with the truth. It had nothing to do with reporting. He thinks he's like Sam Donaldson screaming at Reagan. But Jim Acosta was just an absolute egotistical mess. And he's like the guy who dreamed of something and woke up and found it was real. He dreamed he was irrelevant, and now he is. I think he was one of the most irrelevant journalistic figures of my lifetime. It's hard to be so irrelevant that you almost don't exist and you can still hear his voice, but Jim Acosta managed it. I know that many of you would love a Helix mattress because it's so comfortable you'll fall right to sleep. But because I never sleep, I love a Helix mattress because when I lie awake, I feel really, really comfortable. One thing I've loved is how it regulates temperature, which really eases some of those annoying middle of the night wake ups, or in my case, just sitting there going, the temperature is too hot. That's essential as the temperatures continue to warm up and we head into summer, which really does bother me. Plus, it's easy to connect to other wearable devices so you can actually see the data to back up your sleep improvements each night. No more questioning. What makes Helix different is they don't just sell you a random mattress. They actually match you with the perfect one for your body and sleep style. Whether you're a side sleeper, back sleeper, or like me, a non-sleeper, they've got you covered. All you have to do is take their sleep quiz and find your ideal match. And trust me, when you find the right match, you'll wonder how you ever slept or stayed awake on anything else. Right now is actually the perfect time to upgrade your sleep because Helix is offering a fantastic early access Memorial Day sale. Go to helixsleep.com/Klavan to get 27% off site-wide, plus a free bedding bundle, which includes a sheet set and mattress protector with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. Again, that's helixsleep.com/Klavan for 27% off site-wide, plus a free bedding bundle with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. helixsleep.com/ how do you spell it? Klavan. No E's. I just make it look this easy. Start sleeping better tonight.
Is it that the Biden administration is going to let the thousands of fossil fuel industry workers, whether it's pipeline workers or construction workers, who are either out of work or will soon be out of work because of a Biden EO, when it is and where it is that they can go for their green job? And that is something the administration has promised. There is now a gap. So I'm just curious when that happens, when those people can count on that.
Well, I'd certainly welcome you to present your data of all the thousands and thousands of people who won't be getting a green job. Maybe next time you're here, you can present that. The president and many Democrats and Republicans in Congress believe that investment in infrastructure, building infrastructure that's in our national interests and that boosts the U.S. economy, creates good-paying union jobs here in America and advances our climate and clean energy goals are something that we can certainly work on doing together. And he has every plan to share more about his details of that plan in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, that was Jen Psaki saying sort of stupid stuff. But it's really hilarious. I don't know if you were following the other day when Spain and Portugal basically turned off, like all the electricity went off because they have solar-powered electricity, and this is what they praise. They have solar-powered electricity, but because you can't really store solar energy and because it makes your electrical grid delicate, it just collapses. So all these green energy jobs mostly consist of lighting candles so you can see your way to turning on the generators again because your solar energy is turned off. So Jean Psaki, I miss her because I got to say Pisa a lot, but she's gone. I walked by her in the airport and I wanted to say hello, but I didn't have the guts. All right, let's look at another.
Not a reasonable question to ask whether the President of the United States was involved, as this message seems to suggest, in some sort of a coercive conversation for business dealings by his son. Is that something, if he wasn't, then maybe you should tell us.
So here's the thing, and I appreciate the question. I believe my colleague at the White House Counsel has answered this question already, has dealt with this, has made it very clear. I just don't have anything to share outside of what my colleagues have shared, and so I would refer you to him and the DOJ. Just not going to comment from here.
Text message.
What I can tell you is I know that my colleague has dealt with this. He addressed this at the White House Counsel. I just don't have anything else to share.
In the shakedown attempt?
I just answered the question. I just answered the question.
No, you didn't. Yes or no, was the president involved in the shakedown attempt?
Stephen, I just answered the question. It's not up to you how I answer the question. I just answered the question by telling you my colleagues at the White House Counsel has dealt with this, and I would refer you to them. Go ahead.
Karoline, can you just remind us what your colleague said from the White House Counsel so we have it from you at the podium?
I would refer you to them, and they will share their statement with all of you.
So that was Karoline Jean identity hire, one of the stupidest White House. I mean, just a dope. I've already answered your question by not answering your question. You would expect me to answer your question by answering your question, but I'm not answering your question to answer your question. And so now your question is answered by being not answered. What a dope. I mean, really she was. And also, remember, she always had that book, that huge book of briefing books that she had to page through.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Compare that to Karoline Leavitt, who never seems to look at any notes at all. You know, she never seems to look at any notes. She never stutters. She never, it's just, I don't know. Are we sure she's real? Are we sure that Karoline Leavitt is a real person and not like one of those good-looking cyborgs from the movies? I'm not, I have my doubts. This is something we have to look into. But we know that Karoline Jean identity hire is real because you couldn't make an android that dumb. Well, I think that has proved my opening thesis. My opening thesis was that Karoline Leavitt, the White House Smoke Show, is the best White House spokesman we have ever had. She really is. I mean, incredibly talented at what she's doing. And I think one thing she has in her advantage that may make it unfair is that Donald Trump is doing a good job. That makes it a little easier. So maybe there's that. If you're not Jim Acosta, like and subscribe. And don't forget to subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.